Special species. Does anyone have any idea of what our species is for Oratia? It's going to be one of how many meetings? 14 special species, which we will be highlighting across the rohi. Any ideas? And if you get it, you get a free Woodstock. Special species for Oratia.
Elephant.
Elephant. Well, there was an elephant on Parker Road in the 1900s. No, it's not that one. Close, but...
Tuna.
No. Bigger. Close. That Woodstock's getting a bit warm. Any other ideas? Weta. No, I'll give you a hint. It is one of the few remaining keystone species in the Puriri forests of the foothills of the ranges. Kererū. It is Kererū. And so we are lucky to have an expert to tell us all about the Kererū. I'm sure everyone knows Chris. If you haven't paid your rates, this is the man to speak to. Chris is a very experienced troublemaker, working for the council, but also working for the community good. And we are, I'm being pointed at.
Behind you.
And, is that first, is it?
Yeah, yeah.
So, we have something even more important beforehand. We have an amazing piece of artwork, which I'll get my weather girl to open, because you know what will happen if I do it. It'll fall and break, and everyone will be like, oh, God. And then I'll have to bid for it. So, we have an amazing local artist who has designed this for us. Monique, thank you very much for doing this for us. And let's see what it is. It's not an elephant. Do you want to say anything about your art piece? A quick word from the artist? You have to come up here.
Well, they chose me to do the Kererū, so I just love the colours. We've got one on our deck. He sits there every day, big fat one. So I had a good model and took photos of him, and yeah. But he's in front of the Waihakuri Rangers, and he's got a Puriri in the front, and yeah, it was mainly for, I did it specifically for a t-shirt, so that can be printed, so yeah.
Well, I think it's perfect for tonight, because obviously there is a mutual relationship between the Kererū, Puriri and the Rangers, so thank you very much for doing that. And we're going to be auctioning it off later, but I think I've won already, so. Now I will pass over to Chris. I think I mentioned earlier, if you have problems with your rates, Chris is the man to talk to. You'll be able to ask him questions about rates after he tells us about the Kererū.
Not really, but thanks for taking my punchline. Kia ora koutou. Chris Bindon, Conservation Advisor at Auckland Council, based in Henderson. I was going to have it a surprise as to what our topic was tonight. Make you work for it. Oh, sorry. But anyway, it's already out now, so that's our bird. And as has been said, that there's 14 species that will be looked at, and they all have particular qualities. They all have what you might call superpowers. And for our Kererū, in its case, it's its ability to be able to still consume some of the larger fruits, which sadly, because of the loss of so many of our other native birds, which is probably around 53 to 56 species have gone forever. The Kererū, really, up in this part of the country at least, is the only bird we've got left that can consume and spread those fruits of things like tarairi and karaka and kohikohi and puriri and other species like that, tawapo, things like that. So it's vital for our forests that our forests are maintained, and this bird is the only bird that can keep those seeds moving about naturally, because kokako can eat a few, weka can eat a few. We don't have weka up this way. We have limited kokako, and that's about it. So it's up to this guy. We have to keep this guy alive and successful in breeding and all the stuff that you already know. So that's great. Some interesting facts about Kererū. It's probably our third most, in terms of its ability to move about outside of its ngahiri, it's probably our third most capable of that. The kaka being number one can do vast distances, but Kererū have been probably equal to tui, have been recorded going up to 60 kilometres from their home patch to go to a particular food source, be it fruits, be it flowers, be it particular leaves of young plants that are just coming into bud, etc. So they are highly able to travel across open landscapes. Doesn't have to be continual forests like it does for some of our smaller bird species. Things like robins and whiteheads and things can't traverse over open farmland or cities, but the Kererū can. So we're blessed in that way. Breeding, they're really quite unique, the Kererū, when it comes to their ability to breed. They only have one egg per nest. They may nest more than once in a season. In fact, if conditions are going well for them, and there's plenty of tucker and they're not getting predated, they can actually nest almost in any month of the year. But each time, only one egg per nest. So quite special. And of course, if a rat or a stoat happens to get that egg, the bird's got to start again, and generally will abandon that nest and start afresh somewhere. So it's a lot of money to actually get to that point. And on top of that, the Kererū is renowned for creating a nest that's large and bulky for its size, as you'd expect, but it's also very flimsy. And a number of times I've been in the bush and looked up into a Kererū nest and been able to see through the bottom of the nest and actually be able to see the egg. So there's not a lot of sticks there holding that poor little egg in place. So, but that's part of the bird, part of its anatomy, the way it ticks. Sorry to having to have notes. It's not that I don't know stuff, I can't remember stuff. You'll get there. And so the Kererū is officially classified as vulnerable, and in unprotected areas it's still at risk of a lot of things. Depends on where we are in the country. Here, probably not hunting so much, but in other parts of the country, particularly in some areas of Northland, it's still hunted, sadly. It's also vulnerable to a range of introduced mammalian predators, primarily rats, stoats, possums and cats. Are the four main ones, but other animals can have a go at it too. And also the loss of habitat, fragmentisation of habitat, modification of existing habitat, i.e. where possums and rats are taking the precious tucker, the fruits and the flowers and things that Kererū might want for themselves. So degrading that habitat. So that all goes against the success and vitality of the bird and being able to successfully breed. So what things can we do to try and help make a difference in our own rohi? There's definitely lots of things we can do. If we have cats, keep them inside for one thing. For those that have cats, hopefully some of you probably don't have cats, but some still do. Or get a catio, or get a, what do they call it? A scrunchie, one of those things that goes around the collar, which impedes the animal from actually doing sharp turns and catching a bird off guard. Or even a bell around its neck is another thing. Also planting lots of fruiting things in your own property, creating a little bit of habitat if you're able to. Kererū don't necessarily have to be native fruits, and they, as long as the plant you have put in for them isn't a pest plant, it's all good. With our native trees, however, miro is its favourite native fruit. So a miro and a small diversity of species complementing one another that work well together with sufficient space, facing the right way, everything working well. And if you've got Kererū in the area, I would think in time you'll get birds coming in, but it is a slow process. It's particularly for some of those larger fruiting species like the ones I mentioned at the beginning. Some of those take years to actually fruit, but it's a lot of shrubs and smaller native trees, some of which mature earlier, and so you can get that system rolling, and at the very least you'll get other birds like tui and rero, fantail and things like that will start coming through as well. So it's something to be looked at, and council can definitely help with advice on that aspect if that's of use to anybody. Consider also putting window decals on your house, and Anna Lily over here is the one to see with information about that. It's a known fact that many of our birds hit windows, not seeing them, thinking they've got a vista through from one side of a valley to another, but end up hitting a solid pane of glass. And Kererū seem to be as vulnerable as all the others, if not more so, and quite often can result in the bird with a broken neck, and it's bye-bye Kererū. So if we can do something to break up that appearance of an open vista with some decals, and some of them are very attractive, I have to say, with lots of native images on them, then that's a good thing to do. So have a chat to Anna Lee afterwards, and I'm sure she can help you out. And of course, the obvious one, control those pest animals. The ones I talked about is the most obvious. That can help, and I'm sure a lot of you are doing that already. Yeah, that's pretty much what I've got in a nutshell. Hi.
Is there a question about rates?
I remember Chris saying to me once about kōwhai being a good part of their diet, and I'm actually watching Kererū having an absolute feast on my kōwhai right now.
And Kia ora, Pam, that's part of my
That was
quiz.
you.
That's part of my quiz. There'll be a quiz in a minute, so I hope you were listening.
And I want to say,
but true.
I want to say that, I confess, I suppose it's the word, we shouted our Kererū on the kōwhai because they are targeting what becomes the flowers in the spring.
Yes.
And so we've got, you know, a lot of kōwhai which have pathetic displays because these Kererū come along and eat them all. And I mean, we're doing our bit. We've got, you know, predator control,
Do your bit,
all
Kererū,
that sort of
yeah.
thing. Is there anything that I can say to them that will introduce some other, introduce them to some other diet or something?
Well,
Nuts.
and on top of that, Peter, any that do get through, the Kererū will devour the whole flower later as well.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
whole
well,
thing.
that's okay.
Well, except that it stops those seeds from being developed as it would if a tui had pollinated it.
Yeah, all right, we're not short of those, and we're not short of
No.
Kererū either. It's just that it's very frustrating when you want a lovely display.
And they do it right in front of you.
I
Right,
know,
yeah.
Sadly, I think it's probably symbolic of a imbalanced ecosystem that we live in, because, you know, historically there'll be a vast, great number of
Yeah,
different
do you
species.
think there
and
might have been a fruit at that time, at this time of the year, that they would otherwise have been going for?
Possibly, but there's not a lot fruiting at this time of year.
No.
That's why a lot of them are waiting for kōwhai to come out, because they will be definitely eating leaves of things like Hoheria and other species that will...
Apple
and
trees,
Yep.
stripping my
Yeah,
apples.
and at home too, we've got them stripping our old, and you think these leaves are about to fall. You know, it's winter, and they still haven't fallen, but they're still eating them. So there must be some nutritive value in those leaves. But I think, to answer what you're talking about, Peter, I feel that, you know, things are out of whack. We've got large numbers of Kererū, but we've got a lot of other chunks of the picture missing. And so that tends to allow them to do a little bit better maybe, even though they're vulnerable to the things I've talked about. Whereas in a more balanced ecosystem, you'd have a lot more kōwhai, you'd have a lot more other birds, and you probably would have maybe a few less Kererū being at the top of things. So, yeah, but it is frustrating. I hear what you're saying. But it's nice to have a bird, a desirable bird doing that rather than undesirable.
So my second question is about karaka seeds. So we're sort of told that they're poisonous, but that Kererū can...
It's correct.
What's that about?
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't get the full picture when they say karaka seeds are poisonous. The flesh itself is not poisonous at all. I've eaten numerous karaka fruit, not the seed, not the kernel. And of course, when the Kererū eats the whole fruit, including the kernel, it doesn't tamper with that. It doesn't tamper with that kernel. It swallows the whole thing whole. Unlike a parrot, which will chew and try and break into it, it swallows the whole fruit. So that fruit goes through the gut, stripped of all its flesh by the digestive juices in the system. So when it comes out with a dollop of fertiliser at the end, it's still intact, minus its flesh, with a bit of fertiliser, ready to go.